Hi, my name is Everett Taves. I'm a developer advocate in the developer relations group at Rackspace. I'm here today to tell you a bit about application development in the cloud with our software development kits. Rackspace provides infrastructure as a service. It allows you to create the fundamental building blocks of an application using an application programming interface. For example, you can spin up servers, allocate block storage, create databases, launch load balancers, store files in the cloud, etc., all programmatically in the language of your choice. To get started, go to developer.rackspace.com. This is your one-stop shop for everything you need as a developer to get started in the Rackspace cloud. Over here on the right, you'll find a link to the developer discount. This gives you a way to kick the tires on the cloud without having to spend a dime over 6 months if you don't want to. But before we get to the developer discount, let's have a look and see what you can do with the Rackspace Cloud. We'll start by going to the Cloud Control panel at mycloud.rackspace.com. Once you have your account credentials from the developer discount, you can log in and you're immediately taken to the cloud server screen. Let's create a server where you could, say, host a web application or any other kind of application. We'll call it foo and put it in our Northern Virginia data center. Let's create a saucy salamander. That's Ubuntu's latest server edition. The hardware flavor that we're going to use is the Performance 1 class 1 GB server. Let's start it up. We'll copy this password and save it for later using our little scratch pad. So what did we do there? We created a Performance 1 flavor class 1 GB server. Now the Performance 1 flavor class has shared CPU and network with a 1-to-1 ratio of RAM to CPU. It's really best suited for web applications, batch processing, small databases, and most general purpose computing workloads. When you want to build a rapid horizontally scalable web application, mobile backend, or even just host your own personal website, this flavor class is going to be your bread and butter. There's another class, the Performance 2 flavor class, which has dedicated CPU and network with a 3.75-to-1 ratio of RAM to CPU. They have more maximum IOPS than Performance 1 and are best suited for applications with higher I/O requirements that demand sustained performance, such as large relational and non-relational databases, clusters, high-performance computing, data science, things of that nature fit into this flavor class. So now that we're fired up and active, let's log in. We'll use our password that we copied in there before. And in a minute, I'm going to do a demo using the Rackspace Java SDK, which is powered by the open source project known as Apache JClouds. So I'm going to need to install Java and Maven on this server. Here's the apt-get command that I'm going to use to do that. And so while that's installing, let's skip back and talk a bit about the developer discount. To get to the developer discount, we go back to developer.rackspace.com and click on this link. So there's a bit to read on this page, but it's all in very plain language. I'd like to highlight a few of the really important points so you can make an effective use of your developer discount. First of all, it's valid for the US and UK data centers only. If you start up a server or any other resource in the Sydney or Hong Kong data centers, you'll be charged for those immediately. You get $50 per month for 6 months. You can use it on anything in our cloud portfolio like cloud servers, cloud files, cloud databases, cloud load balancers, etc. But you can't use it for dedicated hosting or in particular the Cloud Sites product. Anything over $50 per month and you will get charged for that. You need to know that the meter starts running as soon as you create a resource. So even if you start a cloud server, but you don't use it for a few days, well, the meter starts running when you created it, not when you start using it. So what can you actually do with that $50 per month? You can create a 1 gigabyte performance server and run it for 1 month, and that costs about $30. So you could host a web application for 6 months and not pay a dime with the 1 gigabyte performance server and still have $20 per month to use to try out any of the other products in the cloud portfolio. And a reminder to delete unused resources. If you're trying something out for a little while but don't want to use it long term, just remember to delete it so you don't get charged for it. And if you want to check how much you've been charged to date, go to the account usage page in the Cloud Control panel. You can find that up here in the top right in the usage overview. So that just gives you an idea of how much you've spent in the cloud to date. Okay, so let's put some rubber on the road and do a demo. As I said, we're going to install JClouds, our Rackspace Java SDK. Once again, we'll start by going to developer.rackspace.com and heading down to the SDKs and Tools section. So what is a software development kit? Well, it's a language binding that can talk to the Rackspace Cloud API in the language of your choice. It includes a quick start guide, example code, and extensive reference documentation. As you can see, we've got all of the major programming languages covered. Today I'm going to give you a quick demo of the Rackspace Java SDK powered by JClouds. We'll install JClouds and use it to store a file in Cloud Files from the server that we just created. Let's start by going to the quick reference. So here's just a quick introduction, and we will have gotten our username and API key from our developer discount program that we signed up for. And we've already installed the JDK version 6 or later and Maven version 3 or later. So let's go ahead and get JClouds. First, we'll create a directory to house our example. Then we'll make a copy of this pom.xml file and put it in that directory. This file just tells Maven which dependencies it needs to use JClouds in our Java application. So let's go ahead and copy this code into the pom.xml file on our server. Once we've got that, we can run this Maven command to actually download all of those jar files that we need. So while those are downloading, we can talk a bit about the terminology that JClouds uses. JClouds is actually a multi-cloud SDK that works across multiple supported cloud providers. As such, it uses some generic terms when it's talking about different clouds. So these map to some of the terms that we use in the Rackspace and OpenStack clouds. It's just useful to know the differences between the two. So let's go ahead and start our first Cloud Files application. This section here just discusses some of the different APIs within JClouds and how you would use them to work with OpenStack Swift or Rackspace Cloud Files. But let's put some rubber on the road and run one of our examples. First, we'll need this directory hierarchy to put our source code into. We're going to run the cloud files publish example, so we'll need a file by this name. Because we have a lot of different examples, but a lot of common constants that we want to share between them, we have a separate file for those. So now that we have those files in place, let's go ahead and copy some source code into them. So this example creates a container in Cloud Files, creates an object in that container, uploading it from a local file, and then enables the content distribution network on that container so that file can be accessed from anywhere in the world. Let's go ahead and copy in the code. Now let's copy in the source code for our constants. Okay, now that we have our source code in place, let's compile it. And once it's compiled, let's go ahead and run it. I'm passing in my username and API key that we got during the developer discount. So like I said, this example creates a container in Cloud Files, uploads an object to it, which in this case is just a simple HTML file, and then makes that container public on our content distribution network. So we can actually go visit that file using this URL. So, as you can see, it's really just a simple Hello World style application for the cloud. Think about how you can use Cloud Files to store any sort of file for use exclusively by your application, or you can make that container public, as we just did, and share those files with the world. So, you've seen how you can create a server in the Rackspace cloud where you could host an application and from there access other resources in the Rackspace cloud via any one of our software development toolkits. Thank you very much. Please go to developer.rackspace.com to get started in the Rackspace cloud.